Hi there, welcome to Wyckoff Technical Analysis session for Chainlink. If you're new to my sessions, here are the key takeaways you can expect from the sessions. So let's start with the weekly chart of Chainlink. Previously we talked about the chance of Chainlink getting back to accumulation is much higher than that of going back up to show us a second test. And given this week's price action, well, the candlestick just started for this week for Chainlink. However, the current state is at somewhere near or around the same level as what we have seen in March. That was the accumulation period from March all the way to July, before the price shot up to another distribution that we have seen in August. So as of now, it looks like it's still trying to strike a battle around the zone, staying above the orange key level of $15.20. So I'm keeping this tag over here. Before the selling climax appears, somewhere between the orange key level and the red key level of $13.10, we cannot confirm that the accumulation has started. It looks like it has entered that zone, but sometimes it can bounce back to trade sideways for a bit before it actually show us the selling climax. So back then it happened around this area before the selling climax actually appeared. So that was the early March period all the way till the end of March before the price actually declined. Another time was that June 2024. It exhibited similar behavior. There was a bit of horizontal trading before it actually falls to the selling climax. So this time, this LPSY over here may not be the last one. So if I change it to a line chart, you see that little peak over there. Alright, so things can still happen sideways for a bit before it fully falls to the selling climax, but let's see, because that we're getting very close to that point. The selling volume itself wasn't too crazy last week, so there was some buying activities from the bottom for those 3 weeks after the week of October 10th, but then the volume was way lower. Given the wicks, both upside and downside wicks, it's surprising the buying the deep volume isn't that high. So that's why this week's drop, at the beginning of what we see right now, it's kind of expected because of this weak buying from the bottom kind of activities. Now that the price has fallen below the $15.20, we see some buying activities as well. But like I said, the volume isn't supporting it, so be really careful. It's only the smaller fishes like us, the retail investors, are jumping in thinking that's the low, and they're buying the dip from there. Maybe they are going to hold that for long, becoming diamond hands for Chainlink. I'm not sure, but be careful, because the lowest point probably hasn't shown up yet. Alright, so that's the big picture. Before getting into the daily charts, the Bollinger Band Kernel squeeze, an indicator that shows us bigger price swing is about to happen. So that squeeze happened back in June, July time, and then we have this price swing happening right now. The magnitude of the swing post squeeze in the weekly chart is much bigger than that in the daily. And also, remember, when a squeeze happens, what comes after, the swing that comes after, can go down first before it goes up. It doesn't always happen in a way that it goes up first and comes down. So when you look at the charts, if you're new to this indicator, make sure you look at a few more charts, pick a few more different altcoins or assets, just to make sure you don't misunderstood it. It doesn't always go up first, okay? I don't want you to misinterpret it and then eventually take a loss. So let's get to the daily chart now. similar sense, the squeeze happened over the past few days, and today seems to be the beginning of releasing of the squeeze force. So expect this fluctuation to last for at least a couple of more days, if not like an entire week, because the weekly has kind of started somewhere in late July, and we're still within this post squeeze period. You see the swings tends to start bigger and then eventually dies down. Now we just started, and it may swing a bit before it dies down completely. So back to the Wyckoff tags. Previously we put in a bunch of question marks over here because that's my usual practice, that I tend to put up like potential next stages. So this has been confirmed when we covered Chainlink last session. It probably wasn't yet, and then we were asking a question like, is it really going to come down for a preliminary support, meaning the early stage of accumulation? There was actually another LPSY. If you look at it like in the line chart, you see those multiple peaks. Sometimes if you're new to look at this from a candlestick perspective, you probably see a bunch of horizontal trading, but that's actually a mini peak over there. So now that it's continue to head down to test these multiple key levels, it broke the yellow after testing 3 times, and then eventually today both the white and the orange key level that we talk about, like $15.20. The white is actually the ceiling of the long-term. Is it the ceiling? No, it's the bottom of the long-term playground zone. The box is huge. Okay, it's over there. It's the ceiling actually, sorry. Because I haven't drawn the center line for this, I should bring this down and delete the one on the top. So what's here is that I usually show you those channel boxes, right? This is a gigantic channel box I call the long-term playground zone, meaning for 70-80% of the time since 2019, Chainlink has been trading within this box, this channel. Okay, so that's why it's the long-term playground zone. And this center line tells us basically a support or resistance line within this bigger box. There are multiple levels, but then this is a key one where, much like the other smaller channel boxes that I share with you, where the price tends to bounce among the 3 lines. So basically the bottom, the center line, and the ceiling. So if I turn it to the line chart, you can see clearly that it can bounce off from the center line, the bottom, like we're playing air hockey. Alright, that's the use of those 3 lines. The channel box, ceiling, bottom, and center line. Alright, so that's white box over there. We have just officially re-entered that zone. Last time it happened, well, October 10th obviously, but it did not close below it. Today we have only roughly about 7 hours left before this candle closes, and that's the official close within the box since August. Okay, so that's a pretty big signal, because last time when that happened, especially prior to that, that was the accumulation period. Both in March and June, we were at this level. So from a daily perspective, as long as this channel box still continues, the journey within this channel box still continues, it basically means Chainlink is still heading towards seeking the selling climax this time. Alright? Unless it gets to a point where, if I extend all these lines, if it eventually breaks above this ceiling, currently it's still trading at the lower half of the box, okay? So first it has to go to the upper half. and depending on where it has to. Right now, these are very narrow range. I don't think it can last that long till early December to edge towards this triangle. It seems it's more likely that it's heading towards the red. So that's why I'm extending this box now. If that's the case, that it travels along here where there is a bigger band for it to trade sideways between the red key level of $13.10 and $15.20, then eventually when we edge towards sometime near Christmas or between Christmas and New Year, that is a major decision point where the whales or the composite man or whatever you call the big guys that can move the market is going to tell us, is the downtrend going to continue, or is it going to break above this box and setting the selling climax somewhere near the red line? If we look at what happened over here, the selling climax was set near the red line, a little bit lower than it, both in March and June. But then subsequently there were tests that went even lower. Alright, so after we see the selling climax, don't expect that's the end of it. Okay, the bottom can go way deeper. So that's why you see the white box over here. Okay, if this time we are getting back to a cycle similar to 2002 and 2003, this red line $13.10 is not the end of it. It's far from the end. So hopefully we are not going to get lower than the summer of 2024. You see where that line goes, right? Over here. It went to the center line of the long-term playground zone. That's somewhere around $8.30. And that's exactly where the October 10th event touched on. Okay? I'm not drawing this line randomly. You see a lot of these peaks ended at that point, and this low in August here, as well as these lows back in 2020, 5 years ago, all landed on this level. And October 10th already told us that this can happen. Okay, if demand continues to die down, if confidence continues to be weak, that's where Chainlink can get to. Okay, if you're trying to buy the dip now, if you are willing to take a almost 50% drop from where we are now, if you can take that, if you have that risk appetite, you have that capital, that's up to you. I'm just showing to you how bad it can go. Okay, that's not even the lowest point in 2002-2003 accumulation. We're just talking about what happened, what October 10th has indicated us the possibility of it. Okay. Hey Coco, thanks. Can you also do a video on VeChain? VeChain. When did I last cover it? Let me look at my schedule. I covered it on Tuesday. So meaning tomorrow will be the new one. So thanks for asking. I have posted my schedule in the community post. So you can always go to the community post and check the latest schedule, because sometimes I do some swapping based on the engagement, how many people watch a particular altcoin video and like how much do they like it or how much do they comment. So that's how I adjust the roster. Thanks for asking, and I believe that's all for Chainlink for now. I'm not going to repeat those trend lines at the moment, because I've already mentioned that these are provided this time it doesn't drop below this yellow support line, and it seems like it can based on what happened on October 10th. So when the selling climax finally appears and the subsequent low points appear, if they appear above this line, then we will talk about it again. Okay, so thanks for joining me. I'm moving on to the next session. See you.